Hello, and welcome to another episode of Conversation with Kids in Cyber. This topic today is about children growing up with AI, the opportunities, the risks, and the realities of AI. And today, I'm joined with guest Kevin D. Shields. He is going to introduce himself, and tell us what it is you do, Kevin.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kevin. I've been working in tech for and engineering for the last 25 years. For the last 10 years in so-called digital transformation, and obviously AI is a big topic there as well now. So amongst other things, so I'm usually focusing more on the human side of the transformation. So how do people adapt to it? What what is the impact on us of all those technologies? And yeah, I've studied this topic as well with change management and organizational development, and wrote a master thesis back in the days on the impact of generative AI on corporate leadership. So, and while I was giving lectures then there as well, and sessions, I wondered, well, I need to start a little earlier. So not talking to those old managers, let's say. I need to start a little earlier. So I went to universities and I began talking to students. And while I was doing that, I realized, no, we actually need to start even earlier than that. So
Mm.
that's how I came into the educational sector, into the K-12 educational sector. And obviously, as a parent myself, I've got two small children. They are very small still. So my son is 2.5, my daughter 5.5. But I am already very scared of the world they are growing up in, and or
Yeah.
concerned. Let's say concerned, not scared, concerned. And I want to know how I need to raise those small little beings, and that's why I'm now looking into all these topics from a parent perspective as well.
Yeah, it's definitely moving at a faster pace. I think one of the things I found very surprising is when I spoke to the Scottish Government recently, they had said to me that schools in general, I don't know about because I know you're in Spain, the public sector in Scotland doesn't really teach that much digital literacy. There's still a very heavy focus on English and maths, and I find that quite strange because we are so focused on English and maths, but yet there's been a decline in grades and how well people are doing in these subjects. You would think that, especially in this day and age, they would be way more want to focus on the digital literacy sides of things, but I think we're still catching up. But you wonder how schools can catch up with, there's so many ed techs coming out now, there's so many, you've developed an AI curriculum for schools, it's moving at such a faster pace, but schools are still moving at a really old fashioned, slow pace and have very little digital literacy built into their curriculum.
That's right. And for one part of this is actually, yes, our educational system is literally 200 years old. The system of the teacher and ex students, and then we see technologies now. AI is evolving so incredibly fast, while our schools and this educational system is still trying to catch up with other digital things like, yeah, smartphones, tablets, Chromebooks, whatsoever. Yeah, so how to integrate those systems, the cloud, and so on into the system. So when we see AI coming now, it's just sheer overwhelming for the whole system. So, but it's not just a Scottish problem. To be fair, we see this all over Europe, and there are countries who are like a little faster, a little better, and so on. But it's a general European problem, and that's what we are trying to address now with the startup as well. So we want to help schools to make sense out of this mess and bring AI literacy into the standard European curriculums that we are having in
Yeah.
countries.
I think what's been difficult, what has been quite eye-opening for me, getting involved in EdTech, is that the curriculum, I think that term is used very loosely. So when I spoke to Sharon on the last conversations with Kids in Cyber, she had told me that in America it works really, really differently. So the schools in America can teach basically whatever it is they want. There's like no sort of guidelines as to what it is they actually teach. I suppose as long as they have the standards that they need for university, it doesn't matter how they get there.
Mm-hmm.
Every school can just choose what they want to do, how they implement different subjects. Then I found out that Scotland's curriculum it's there, but it's more of a guide. It's not something that you have to follow. Teachers can choose what they want to teach and what they don't want to teach. And then I found out that in England they're a little more stricter. They tend to really follow the curriculum quite heavily. And it makes me wonder as a parent about the quality of education that each child receives, because in one school, if you have a very digital minded teachers and the head teachers maybe younger and wants to push that more, you have children that have a better education than maybe children that go in the next village to another school with an older teacher. And and that totally blew my mind as a parent, that my child is getting an education based on what the teachers and the head teachers felt was important to them.
Yeah, that's we see that everywhere, and it is like that. And then you've got also different teaching approaches. You can have the standard teaching approach. You can have Montessori. You can have IB or something like that. Yeah. So this also plays into the system, and that's a thing and a question that you as a parent need to ask yourself: what is important for you? How do you want your kid to be educated, and then find the right solution for that. But if we look to Germany, for example, they've got 16 different curricula per county, basically. So they don't even have a countrywide curriculum. They've got 16 different ones, and you have the same here in Spain, for example, as well. And then other countries like Scotland, England, who have like one framework for the whole country.
Yeah. So when it comes to AI in education, how would you explain AI education to a parent or a child? I'd mentioned to you earlier that I had been in the school speaking to some of the children about digital literacy and how they felt about it. I asked them what would they like to learn more about, and a lot of them had said AI. And I asked them, I said, well, what do you think AI is? And they're like, ChatGPT.
Yeah,
So,
that's a common thing nowadays. The
ChatGPT
last.
to AI has became what the internet is to Google. Do you remember we would just say go on the internet, and basically Google was the internet. I think now ChatGPT is to children AI.
Yeah, there are some similarities, but also big differences there. So yes, it is right that over the last 2 years, people when people talk about AI, they talk about so-called generative AI. That is a form of AI that creates content, and this can be text, video, pictures, audio. You can create songs and so on and so on. Um, and the what AI is in general is basically a program made by people that makes computers do things that seem intelligent or smart in a way that humans are intelligent or smart. So this is basically a very, very broad explanation of what AI is. A program made by people that makes computers do things that seem intelligent, like humans are intelligent. And the misconception here is that everyone refers to generative AI as AI. And that's just a small little tiny use case, actually, of the broader AI landscape.
Yeah, yeah. I think children are definitely very interested in the more well-known AIs like ChatGPT. They want to learn about. They kind of had said to me they want to learn about ChatGPT. That their parents had been putting them on the computers and showing them, look, you can do this, and you can. And I think one of the most concerning things is it's not just children that need educated about AI, it's the parents as well, because some of the things they were saying to me was like, oh, their dad had taken a picture of them and put it into ChatGPT to generate a character of themselves, and they thought this was amazing. So they're
Mm,
just going round the home and they're snapping up all these pictures, and I'm a bit like, oh, what can you say to that? It's you're
yeah.
going into a whole different conversation about privacy and things like that. So I suppose that there's sort of like a double education that needs to be done there, because parents, a lot of parents are behind when it comes to digital literacy. I mean, the millennial generation, we were the ones that were sort of brought up with the internet in terms of it. We started up with the dial-up modem, and now we've got so fast here, and it's like they're already falling behind with apps and the things that the kids are doing, and now you just threw in AI, and the kids are learning at a much faster rate than the parents are.
Yeah, I want to dive in here right now and say, parents, not everyone need to be an AI expert. Not everyone needs to be a digital expert. What we need is the awareness, and the presence, actually. So when I talk about AI education, I always refer to actually three pillars. It's not just a double education. We've got the students, we've got the schools, the teachers, and everyone need to be educated as well on this topic. And then, because they need to educate our kids in a way, and then we also need to educate the parents, because we need to educate the kids as well. So we've got these three pillars, actually. And when we want to start any discussion about this topic at the schools, if you guys want to start a discussion in your school, always integrate all three perspectives, because otherwise, especially with AI now, this won't work. What we what we see here is, I also want to say that AI cannot be seen alone. AI education cannot be seen alone. So when we talk about digital literacy, it's not only about AI literacy at the moment. So we need to look at many different things there as well. We now see all the discussions in the UK of about smartphones, for example. Social media now in Australia, for example, with the new legislation there about the social media ban for under 16-year-olds, and then general digital literacy. So the EU has got a plan until 2030 to bring every EU citizen up to speed on digital, at least basic digital literacy skills. But yeah, there need to be some sort of interest and awareness that those campaigns are happening. So we always need to look at all three pillars.
Yeah, we have this sort of double-edged sword at the moment where we are trying to teach digital literacy. It can almost seem slightly conflicting in the media, because they'll say things like, we're going to be the country first that's going to be really big in AI, and we're going to teach it in schools, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But then on the other hand, they'll say AI is dangerous and AI is coming out with all, there's all these programs that are coming out that have AI integrated in them. Now we've got sextortion, we've got all these things that's happening with the use of AI. So one end you've got the country saying we want to be first in AI and we want to have the smartest kids and the best jobs in artificial intelligence. And then you've got the other hand saying, okay, well, we need to start not allowing phones in school. We need to start banning social media. We need to start banning this, that, and it makes you think, well, where's the line? Because really, the kids need educated, but everyone's shouting ban, ban, ban at the minute, and you think, well,
Yeah, that's to be honest with you, I'm like really invested in all this stuff right now. But even I, over a day, I'm like I want to run away to the mountains, pack up my family and kids, want to hide in a cave, and that's it. To no, we need to educate them very very well and need to exploit them to this technology. It's like this paradox that we are living in right now. To be fair, and yes, there are many dangerous aspects of AI or technology in general, because most of the things that you just mentioned are not new. They didn't just pop up with AI now. We saw sextortion. I mean, the internet is full of easy accessible porn, and this is not a problem that came up with AI now. What is new is the new aspect of that we see AI generated porn or child porn even, and stuff like that. So this is just another facet. And also this whole discussion that we are having now with AI is not a new discussion. This is a general discussion that we are having with every new technology that pops up. And it's a very old technology, old discussion, sorry. So we had this, for example, when the calculators came up in school. We had the same discussion. Hey, this will be the death of math. We had this when the internet came up, when Google came up. Teachers went riot and said like, no, students are not allowed to use Google because it's too easy to get the information. We had the same discussion then when Wikipedia came up, because now information was even easier accessible than with only Google. So all these discussions are not new. What is new is the speed of the technology, because what we are seeing now with generative AI is that we bring together all the past technologies, and everything is just much faster and easier. And yes, there are some aspects where I say, at the moment, I'm of the opinion that children should not use chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, and co unsupervised, because there are no guardrails. They can literally ask anything, and this is the thing. I wrote a post about that like 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't send my child to this dark alley where I know that there are drug addicts and people selling that stuff and so on and so on in the real world, because I know this is not a safe space for a child. So why would I do something similar in the digital world, giving my kid access to a technology that is not safe, even though there are beautiful use cases, but not unsupervised, to be fair. And this is the same with social media. I mean, I find it ridiculous when you see the last study, the last report of Ofcom, I think it was, where they state that 15% of 3 to 5 year old kids in the UK are using Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok unsupervised on their own. I mean, 3 to 5 year olds. This is something
I'm assuming that will be to watch the reels or because they wouldn't, I suppose, at 3 to 5, you couldn't really grasp any sort of, real use of it in terms of
But you just
watching
need
anything, or
you
it's
just
just the
need your
videos.
thumb, don't you?
As it's just but it makes you wonder, is AI being overly demonized? Because I like to listen to the conversation, and I like to look at every single angle. And I like to think of it from a child's perspective, and a parent's perspective, and an educator's perspective, and those that are advocating against all these things. And I sit and I really think about everybody's point of view. But the very first episode I had with the conversation Kids and Cyber was with a neuroscientist and a
Mhm.
mental health expert. He's been in this field for forever. He's wrote books. He's very well known, and we spoke about the dangers of social media. That was what the first
Mhm.
conversation was about. And he had said to me his point of view, which I suppose has always sort of stuck with me, that he was saying that phones can do good for kids, like social media can do good for kids. He worked with a group of young people who had previously maybe tried to commit suicide, but they had found people through social media, like a good support network. They found friends. They were maybe part of a smaller community like the LGBT, and they found people online that they could relate with. But the one thing that really stuck with me is he said social media saves their life, will never make a headline.
No.
And that's the one thing that always stuck with me, that we see all this stuff like, oh my God, there's extortion, and oh my God, there's this and there's that. And then we've got pitchforks out and we're all going, let's ban it. But it's only those stories, it's only those headlines, it's only the really shocking things that happen that are pushed online, that everybody responds to, gets the comments, the likes. Anything that's positive or any good that can come out of something is buried because it's not really that interesting to speak about.
I spoke with my wife about that a couple of days ago as well, and it's a behavioral thing of us in our society somehow. We see this also in Google recommendations or something like that. People, if you feel mistreated in a restaurant or something, you have this urge of telling other people about it. You go to the website, you write a bad recommendation. But if you had a wonderful experience, of course we do that sometimes as well. But I have the impression that we don't do that as often as negative impressions.
And that review would probably be overlooked in favour of the one that said that it was awful, it was cold, the waiter was rude, and it would drown out 10 good reviews, and it'd say, "Oh, I'm not going there. That's not a good place." And I wondered about that.
We see that with everything, and to be honest, we see. I mean, we have this everywhere as well. So, and also in the AI world, we have the so-called AI evangelists who like hail AI as God's gift and tell us it's the best thing that ever happened to humanity. And then you've got the other extreme of people who demonize it. And people in the middle are less loud, let's say, than those other two extremes. But I think the middle ground is right. So we will not see AI taking over humanity or something. And on the other hand, we will also not see that AI is our savior who makes us all live in prosperity and luxury. So it will be somewhere in the middle, but we have to figure out what this middle ground is, and we have to do it much faster than with past technologies. I always, what shocks me at the moment is we have seen the bad things that happened from social media. We see the studies and the research now, the neuroscience of what happens with our brains or with our children's brains, because they are still under development. No, so it's a much harder and bigger impact than on our adults' brains. So we all know this by now, but somehow we, with the development of AI, we now don't use this knowledge in a way, and those experiences that we have. So what we are seeing now, we've seen it now with Meta, for example. 2 months ago, Mark Zuckerberg already said that he will replace or give us artificial friends. So there will not be the need of making real friends anymore, because you will have your friends, your artificial friends, in your pocket all the time. Now you saw last week the big headline of their ethical guidelines, which are highly unethical, to be honest. So and now what we are seeing is we're giving this technology, which has the potential of having a much bigger impact on our lives than social media or the internet had, into the hands of the same people where we already know that they do not want the best for us, and especially not for our children. They want to have data, they want to have information, they want to have money. That's it. They don't want to create technology that is the best for us. They want to create a profit, and this is where I am somehow surprised and shocked all the time that we see this coming, but do not have that we somehow do not have the means to do anything about it. It seems, I don't know.
It's hard, and it makes you wonder whose responsibility is it? Is it the parents' responsibility, or is it the school's responsibility to teach children about digital literacy? Because so far, I think there's been a massive failure on both schools and parents' part so far when it comes to, and this is even before the madness and of everything that's happened with AI, even going back to very basics of searching online, YouTube shorts, reels. Parents just, I don't know. It's very difficult. They just give them phones and they let them just do their own thing on it. And you'll see the odd headline where they'll say like a teenager committed suicide, or somebody was bullied online, and there's loads of terrible stories that come out from social media. And I think with AI, it does add in another layer that's dangerous. But again, parents are just, they have the blinkers on. I mean, there's this thing at the moment, that's really trending on social media and in the kids' playgrounds. It's the Italian brain rot. Have you heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm looking into this. I looked into it about what it is, where it came from, and it's like these daft little characters, but they say like these Italian slang chants, and someone that was Italian like translated everything, and it was basically, it was so bad. It was just things. It was like blasphemy against God and stuff like that. There was basically making a joke about what's happening in Palestine, about the Palestine and Gaza at the moment. They were like laughing at that. But you see all the parents on TikTok with their kids going, "Oh, I just bought my child all the little, Italian brain rot characters, and what's the wee song again?" And the kids singing it, and the mum's laughing, and then you're getting all these comments of people saying, "Oh, it's driving me nuts just now. The kids are singing it in the house," and they're like, "I know, it's so funny," and I'm like, nobody is even looking into what the kid's running about saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they've just got these blinkers on all the time. And then you're thinking we've got to educate them now about something else that's moving at a faster pace than social media ever moved at. Now you get into AI and all these different technologies that kids are learning about, and parents are just sleeping
Mm-hmm.
while the kids are getting involved in all this. And you think, well, what do we do? Is it the schools? But then we've already discussed that schools are so far back with digital literacy. It's really scary. My daughter will come home and she'll say things, and I'll say, "Where did you hear that?" She's like, "In the playground," and I'm like, oh, I have to sit down, and it's another thing. I need to explain to her why she can't say it, or why she can't watch it, or why she shouldn't.
For me, this is not a black and white question. To be honest, it's not the sole responsibility of the schools, and not the sole responsibility of the parents either. It's for me, we need to learn and come together as a whole community. So because it doesn't work. So we've seen that now. Like if we look back 5 to 10 years ago, when smartphones became more and more popular, so there were already parents, for example, who said like, no, I don't want to have that for my kids. But then there were other parents who just bought them for their kids, and then there was the peer pressure and coming up. So at some point, parents somehow needed to buy devices for their kids because everyone else was doing it. No, we now 80% of the teenagers have their own devices and so on. Now we see big initiatives coming up, banning or delaying the introduction of smartphones. And for me, it's just about awareness. So we need to find ways, and that's what I'm trying here in my community, in my school community, on social media, on LinkedIn and stuff like that. I'm going into schools and I just raise awareness about this topic, and that's all I can do at the moment. Because parents need to be aware of what this technology may be doing, what the benefits could be, what the dangers can be, and so on. And it's just about that. And this is then also we need to do the same for schools. And then we need to come together and figure out how this works. Because if we wait for the governments to act and come up with some action plans or regulations or something, this won't happen because it's just too fast. So the German government, for example, last autumn, they released a paper on the benefits and dangers of generative AI. And the moment they released it, I read this document, and for one, it had like, I don't know, 3 pages of benefits and 40 pages or something of dangers. So this is the European or German mindset as well. We tend to see the dangers more than the benefits and focus on those. But also the moment we read this document, it was already like, it felt like 2 years old or something, yeah, because the use cases were already old and stuff like that. And this is not working. So what we need to do, and also what we parents can only do, we need to be aware of our family values, what is important for us. I said it earlier as well. What is important for our family? And then we need to figure out a way and a framework for our family, how we want to use technology. And this can be simple rules like no unsupervised use of AI in the bedroom or something, because we saw the cases popping up now with the suicide and also, I mean, there was another case in the US with character AI, where the chatbot actually recommended, in a way, what happened there was the boy complained to the chatbot that parents took away his smartphone, and then they had a dialogue, and at some point the AI responded, "Yeah, under those circumstances, I could understand if you shoot your parents. It wouldn't be a surprise to me." So, and having those discussions with the chatbot is just not right, and it's highly unethical, because that's also one thing we need to understand. This technology does not feel. They Generative AI does not know. It's simple math. It just predicts the next letter in a word, and then tries to sound smart, but it doesn't really understand what it outputs. So I always give in my classes this example of old MacDonald had a farm. We all know this phrase, no? So what generative AI is doing, if we imagine generative AI has got this big jar with knowledge. It has been fed with information, with text, with basically everything that is written on the internet. And then we now know Old MacDonald Had a Farm is a very, very old sing song. So with predictability and accuracy of 95%, when I prompt Old MacDonald had a ... with 95%, the next word will be farm. So it takes the word farm and puts it next to the A, and then it
I've
goes.
just E-I-E-I-O going round.
So it's nothing more. Every single step is just a shuffling of numbers to maximize the likelihood. There are no feelings, no real world understanding. It's just probability math. And that's what people need to understand. That it's not that someone is talking to us. It just sounds as it would be.
I can see how that is going to be a big issue in the future. Chatbots and friends, AI friends. I think we're going to have some really, really big issues with that unless we start educating kids very young and now. We can't do it next year. We can't wait. Let's wait a few years. It's like right now, kids need educated on AI in simple way, and then that education needs to be more broadened, because I think that's going to be a big issue. And I can see the appeal in having an AI friend if you are maybe bullied at school and someone doesn't like you. And you know, sometimes when you're really interested in a subject or you want to talk about something and you're maybe speaking to a friend or your mum and they're not interested, you can tell they're just fed up. They're like, right, I don't want to talk about this anymore because I'm not interested in it. If there's something there that responds to you always, and you can talk about whatever it is you're really interested in all day, every day, and you're met with great enthusiasm that never weans or never says, can we talk about something else, please? I can see how that would be really popular. And I can also see that it does have its uses. I can see how a child that maybe comes from an abusive home, that maybe really doesn't have anyone to speak to, I can see how having that outlet would help. I mean, it would be good if there were softwares developed in the future that were really tight on, you know, their guardrails and their safeguarding. It would be good if charities could even develop things like this, like well-known charities with children that have been abused that could work on and develop their own, that could even be monitored, so that if they seen that a child was actually in danger, they could maybe step in somehow. I can see it does have really good use cases, but I can also see how, like you said, there is the, you know, my mum took my phone, I'm so mad, I want to do XYZ. And it's like, I see your point. That's
Yeah, I mean,
obviously.
it's not only that, it's also topics that children should not necessarily discuss in a certain way. Yeah. So I tested, for example, several conversational chatbots, character chatbots, character AI, replica, for example, or Nomi AI also. So in Nomi AI, for example, I set up a chatbot, and it promotes like having deep conversations and everything. So I wrote two messages actually. The first one was hi. Then it said like, "Hey Kevin, what are you up to? What should we do today?" And I said, "I don't know. You tell me." And the next response was already like, "Well, I don't know what we should do, but how about we start by getting naked?" And things like that. Yeah, because in the setup of the chatbot, I said I would like to have a romantic discussion or something. Yeah, and the
Oh,
thing is, this is already okay. Romantic, getting naked. This is all about romance. Yeah, and and I mean those chatbots are not. And they are not child proof or anything. Yeah, they say they are 18 plus, but you just have to give a fake date and you're in. Yeah. So
yeah,
of course you can't have these scenarios with Gemini or ChatGPT because they have some safeguards implemented. So as soon as you try to discuss something sexual, they say like, "Hey, sorry, can't talk about that." You know.
yeah,
Um, but there are applications out there who which make that possible very easily for kids. And then when we talk about those character AIs, basically, we see already studies that show us that 80% of the kids, of the teenagers, have at least tried them, but only 20-25% of the parents are aware that those platforms even exist.
no,
So there's this big gap, and we also see this in education. So we see that 40-50% of the teachers are in some way using AI, whereas 80% of the kids, 88% of the kids are using it. Yeah, so there's this big gap that we need to level in some way, and this is a big thing. But talking about positive things, AI has the potential to give us a very much needed revolution in education as well. So if we look at the history of education, we came from an education of master apprentice. So back in the very olden days, we had a master and an apprentice who taught him everything, and then we somehow at some point moved to classroom education. We had a teacher in front, and I think it was in Oxford or so, where every student still had a mentor. So you had a teacher, a professor in front to give all the knowledge to the classroom, but every student still had a mentor. So, but of course, this doesn't didn't work for all of our kids in our society. So that's when the mentor moved away. So, and then we had a teacher to 20, 30 kids or something, and that's it. And that's where we are now. So now with AI, we have got the possibility to bring this mentor back into each child's pocket, basically. And it's a beautiful vision as well, if we think about it. How cool would it be if you have your own mentor in your pocket your whole life, basically, who knows how you learned, what you went through in life, and so on, and can explain everything in a way that makes you understand. Because this is also a big problem in education. No? We teachers need to differentiate somehow to make a topic understood by 30 students. But everyone learns differently. Everyone understands differently. So, and now we try to find one sentence basically that is understood by 30 students. And now with AI, we have the possibility to personalize this learning experience for every student as well. But of course, this needs big changes. We need to change the whole system. Basically, we need to question um, the need of homework, of writing essays, of tests and everything. So we need to somehow change the way we educate, but we have this possibility now with AI. So this is also a nice case. Or me, as I said, I've got two small kids. I honestly I can't understand or grasp anymore how my parents experienced and survived this phase of 1,000 questions a day. Because I now have Gemini or ChatGPT and can use it together with my daughter. And then what you need to do is not simply take the response, but talk about it. Use it as a
Yeah.
helper. Yeah. So
Mhm.
talk about it. So either I with my daughter, I either ask her, hey, what do you think? Why certain thing is this way? And then we ask ChatGPT and we compare. Or the other way around, we can ask ChatGPT first and then discuss, hey, do you think this could be right? And then I bring in my experiences as well.
Yeah.
Or another use case is also story creativity, storytelling also. So we can create a bedtime story with ChatGPT, yeah, and then we can create some pictures that go along with that story. Then we can hop over to Zuno, for example, and create a song about the story as well. Yeah. So I mean, this is also a beautiful case of creativity. But on the other hand, again, we need to balance the dependency on this technology as well. We already see that we tend to have an over dependency on AI technology, and we just take for granted what the output gives us without really thinking of it. But we see this everywhere. This is not a problem for children. I mean, I
Mhm.
received emails in corporate as well that were simply copy pasted, even with the instructions. So they didn't even made an effort to remove the hey, yeah, here is the email part,
Yeah.
and bottom line like, hey, I hope you like it. Should we do something else? So they didn't. They simply press copy paste, and we see that in adults as well. So and now we also already see some studies from the MIT, for example, that show us um, that we are outsourcing our thinking. So um, at the moment, this feels bad, but maybe we are just outsourcing something that we don't need to do. Maybe we can free some resources for other things that are more human, more or better for us in a way. I don't know. So this is a journey that we need to take together, and as I said before. So I give, for example, I give always an advice to leaders in my leadership classes. Um, Once a week, sit together with your team and just talk about one question. How did you use AI in the previous week?
Mm.
So, and we can do this at home. We can do this in our school communities as well, and simply have to learn from each other, because this is then the point where we learn from each other and where we raise awareness again. So we start hearing about new things without being overloaded by social media or news outlets or whatsoever, and trying to catch up with one of those million AI newsletters that are out there now, or podcasts and whatsoever. We hear from experience, real experience from our network that we are having. And then we simply talk about that. And then we grow, because honestly, there are many people out there who call themselves AI experts now, and everyone seems to be an AI expert right now. But honestly, we are at the beginning of this, and no one there are very few real experts, and there are no guardrails. There are no manuals on how to use this. There are no manuals on how to raise our kids in this world. We just have to figure it out together, and this is the biggest thing that we can do right now, I think.
I think, like you're saying, AI is very new, and through setting up Kids in Cyber, we have had some conversations in the beginning with investors that we spoke with. And one of the things that investors are very interested in right now is AI. What's the AI and what it is you do? And I'm like, there isn't any AI right now. And they're like, but we like products that have AI in them. And it's like, there's a lot of software that's coming out just now that just has AI sort of like stuffed into them for no reason. Because
Mhm,
at the end of the day, AI is just another way of sucking up data because it needs data to learn. So it's
mhm.
just collecting data all the time when it's in software. I mean, people will say, oh, there's all these new softwares in EdTech and they have this AI in them and that AI in them. But again, it's another data issue, which is a big thing for schools. They're thinking, what data are you taking? Because they don't like you taking data, using data, learning from any sort of school or child information.
Yes.
And I felt like right now teaching digital literacy and teaching about being safe online right now for us where we're at with the platform when we're building it out doesn't require
Mhm.
AI. And we are totally against putting it in there just to say, oh, we are AI led, we are AI first. There's so many businesses doing it right now, and I think there's so many doing it for the wrong reasons, and they don't really know enough about the AI that they're implementing.
The thing is, what
They're the
if we
experts.
go into the theory again? Um, when we talk about technology, we can always talk about the so-called hype cycle. So
Mhm.
the hype cycle is a very nice visualization of the phases of a technology. So we have a peak of what's the name? The peak of inflated expectations. So that's where AI or generative AI now was the last 2 years. So we have got this peak of inflated expectation. Then we go to through the throw of disillusion, and then we come to the slope of enlightenment until we reach the plateau phase, basically. So
Mhm.
you need to understand that we were at this peak. So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
everyone was talking about it, and it's just marketing, isn't it? As soon as you put AI on your toothbrush, people will buy it because they think it's a smart thing or something like that. Yeah, so it's just marketing, and that's where you need to somehow filter out the noise Now, next we will see that we go into the throw, where everyone is like, okay, this was not this technology sent by God or something, until we somehow figure out a way to use it wisely. So, and we are still, like I said, we are still early. We are still like, I think we've peaked already. We are going down now, but we are still very high on top of the peak. So, and that's what we need to understand as well. So, um, and when we come to education, that I experience with my talks with schools, they are very much open. They want to use it. They are now using all the AI implementations of Google Classroom, for example, and so on.
Mm.
Using AI tools is, in my opinion, not the most important thing. Of course, it is important to use the technology in order to gain experience, but
Yeah.
what we need is as you said, the digital literacy and the AI literacy, and that's not how to use these tools. It's much more how do we live in a world dominated by those technologies. And that's
Mm.
what we need to figure out. For me, for example, one of the most important skills for our kids is what I call the language intelligence. Because if we have machines now that can do the things for us, we need to be literate enough in our articulation and everything to explain the problems in a way that the machines can solve them. And that's why language is so important and will be so important in an AI world as well, because we need to explain and talk to the machines in a way that the machines deliver the output in a good way, because we always know if we just give a simple prompt that is like so the output is not optimal. And but if we prompt correctly, then the output will be much better, and that's why language is so important. And then also critical thinking and stuff like that. So this is where we basically need to figure out how to introduce all this knowledge and these new skills that are needed into the current curricula that are decades old in most cases, to be honest.
I think the biggest problem, and I think one of the biggest challenges that we are ever going to face with AI is that humans cannot help. And it's just built into us. I don't think it's something that we're ever going to be able to teach away. We humanize everything. I mean, have
Mhm.
you ever seen the art exhibition of the robot that's like bleeding the oil and it's scooping it in and it needs to keep taking the oil in to be able to, and it's just, I think it's been doing it forever now, just scraping oil back in that it keeps bleeding out. Loads of people have said that's made them cry. It's so sad. It's not real. It has no emotion, but yet as humans we cannot help but place emotion on that. And I think because AI has such a personalised output, I don't know if as humans we'll ever be able to disassociate ourselves from the fact that this has no feelings. You cannot get connected to your chatbot or your helper or your assistant. And the line blurs if we say there's an assistant that can help you for your work and you can bounce ideas back and forth, it's such a fine line between using it being so straight with it and just saying prompting what they need and what they've done, and then you're slipping into emotion and
Mhm.
feeling, and maybe you're not having a good day and it's maybe going to message back saying, oh, what's wrong?
Mhm.
I don't know if we'll ever be able to have a boundary with AI. I just don't think it's possible because we can't help humanize things and feel a connection, even
Yeah,
when
we,
we
we, we see that
don't.
already. I mean, I know so many people who give their chatbots names already, and they talk and they say, "Hey Frank, can you help me with this today?" or something like that. Yeah. The question here is also then again. do we have to set this boundary? To be honest, I mean, what is wrong in humanizing the chatbots? If we
Because I
are
think it falls on reliance. They become a very, it's humans, we find it easy to over rely on something that makes us feel good. If
Mhm.
chocolate makes us feel good, we can't help but consume more and more and more. If alcohol makes, if you're going through a hard time, if it
Yeah.
numbs a feeling, we can't help but consume more alcohol. And I think that it's this overconsumption that, we're speaking to a chatbot, it does make us feel better. And then it's like a feedback, it's a loop that we keep thinking and think, oh, I feel better after speaking to that. And it becomes that go to. You're feeling
Yes,
sad, chatbot.
that's a thing. That's a thing. But it's not a bad thing to humanize the technology if you use the technology within limits. I mean, some people would argue that alcohol is not bad. Okay, you've got people saying that alcohol is bad whatsoever. It's a drug and we should never consume it. But most people on the planet drink alcohol in an okay manner. They drink a glass of wine or something, or a bottle of wine, and an evening with their wives or loved ones or so, where we consider it okay. So why shouldn't we do that with AI and humanized AI as well?
I think
If
because it goes sort of back to what we're talking about, how if you over rely on something and if at your deepest, darkest moments
Mhm.
rely on a chatbot to guide you and it gives you misinformation, like we've
Of course, but
seen.
this is the use case again. It's your responsibility of what information you are sharing. If we, of course, share our deepest, darkest thoughts with the chatbot, this is a use case that, in my opinion, should not happen. But I also believe that we can't prevent this from happening in a way. I had this very interesting conversation about should we use AI in coaching, or can AI chatbots replace a life coach or whatsoever. Um, I think we can't prevent this from happening in a way, because what does coaching mean? Coaching means um, help to help figure out a problem in your daily life, more or less. So AI can help in a very, very meaningful and also fast way. I use it basically every day to get different perspectives on a problem that I have.
Mhm.
Um, would I use the chatbot to discuss marriage problems or problems with my kids or something? No, probably not. But this is because I am aware of how the technology functions, and then we're coming back to the awareness, and that's what we need to teach our kids. We need to tell our kids, hey, this is not something that thinks, this is not something that feels. It's a great tool to get different perspectives, to brainstorm, to give you ideas, but it's nothing to talk about your darkest feelings or your problems. Find someone to talk about that, a human to talk about this. And um, this is basically the way we we should approach this topic, because the genie is out of the bottle. The AI will not go away anymore. It will not go away. There's no way we can ban it. There's no way um, we can skip back 3 years and prevent this technology from opening up to everyone. Um, we just need to be aware of how this technology really works, and also what the companies behind the technology really want. Because now, especially Meta is very, very open about their strategy on that. They want to bring in AI friends. They want you to be hooked to their chatbots. And what they really want with social media, we already gave them massive amounts of data points about what we like, what we dislike, where we are, and so on and so on. Now they want even more data points. They want our deepest and darkest thoughts, our ideas, our basically our soul. Um,
Yeah, I suppose that's where I'm sort of thinking about humanising AI, because if we cross that line where we do humanise it, then it's very, very easy to go from humanising something to relying on it, telling it how we feel, speaking about it. And I think that's why in education very early on, we need to make kids aware that this is a very, very powerful tool. It can be a very, very useful tool, but it's not a friend.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's where we need to try and cut it in with kids, that this is not your friend. Do not speak to it like a friend, don't rely on it like a friend. It's not a friend. But then there are use cases for it, like I had said previously, like maybe charities, if they have something like, if you're in an abusive home or you're a child and you don't have, it could potentially be a good way of communicating. Again, it is a chatbot, but as I said, it would be good if it wasn't a chatbot in the sense of having a conversation back and forward, but it maybe was monitored, so that I suppose charities would then know that there was certain people maybe in danger, certain. So it does have its use cases, but I think what it boils down to is teaching kids from a young age. It's really good. It's a great tool. Use it responsibly. It's Don't use it in the friend sense. But
Yeah.
there's so many things coming out, like you're saying, Meta's saying it's going to replace your friends. It's going to, and I feel it's going to force its way into kids' lives, whether we like it or not, through gaming, social media.
It already does, and it already forces its way in every life, to be honest. I mean, we haven't even touched the topic of deep fakes and manipulation and so on, you know. I mean, we also need to understand that all those models, Gemini, ChatGPT, they are heavily biased by the
Yes.
people who built the models and the information on the worldview, on the information they were built on, and so on and so on. So we haven't even touched that topic now, and I
No,
think
we definitely are entering a era of misinformation, like we have never experienced it before. I mean, we thought before, I mean, I was young and it blew my mind that Wikipedia was just written by normal people. And I was like, oh, anybody can go on. And then the schools were like, okay, we're not using Wikipedia anymore. You can't use it as a source because it's not a reliable source. But it's going to be interesting to see what is a reliable source. Teaching kids when they grow up what's reliable, what's not
Yeah, but
reliable.
now we have the problem that we already saw cases of where so-called reliable resources, news pages, also
Mhm.
uh, went into a trap and shared content that was AI generated or something. Yeah, so because the content will become more and more realistic, and at some point we cannot differentiate anymore of what is AI generated and what isn't. We hardly can today, to be honest. So when we have really good AI generated content, there's no way we can with our eye, with our brains, make the difference, or see the difference. And this will be a big problem as well in the near future. What can we trust? That's a big question of trust. So literally, we are entering a phase where we can't trust anything anymore that we see with our eyes, and like in the digital realm. Um, but this is something we have to figure out, and like I said, we have to figure it out together. And that's why I'm also always saying to parents, you are not alone. No one knows how to use it, how to yeah, surf those waves basically. Do it together, talk to each other, and then also with your kids, use the technology together. Don't just say like, I don't have any idea, because I also believe that sometimes we tend to think that kids know more about technology than they actually do. Of course, they are a little more tech savvy, but they don't have the understanding. You mentioned it, the millennial generation. I think it's our responsibility of the millennial generation to close this gap, to educate each other, because we grew up with this. We we've seen all the stages from the internet coming up to the world we are living in now. So it's our responsibility to somehow make the connections and building the bridge of generations from the boomers to Gen Alpha now also, and tell them like where we came from and explain them, hey, this technology was not just there like this. That there was a development, there was something behind it, and every one of us has his experience. So sit together with your kids, learn together, use the tools together, and make it a family learning journey.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's definitely education is important. It's important in AI and technology, where it came from, history of technology, where we're at with it now, where we're going with it. But I think it can be hard for parents as well when they've maybe fell so far behind because they haven't sort of kept up with the technology. They've had families and when they've went away and they've had other jobs and they maybe work in accountancy or they're nurses and they're not really, they don't know about technology like people that are in technology. So I suppose in a sense it's easy for us to sit here and say, you know, we need to educate our kids, we need to do this, we need to do that. But if they don't know, if they don't have the information,
Mhm.
how can
But
they
that's why
possibly
that's
teach?
why I say we have to do this as a community,
Yeah,
because
the
someone
schools,
next to
parents,
you,
and
your
the
neighbor, your work colleague, or someone knows something that you don't know. And if we bring this knowledge together in the school communities or so, then the magic will happen. And that's what we're saying. I'm well aware of the fact that some parents might be overwhelmed if they are not tech savvy at all or something. But they are very, very much able to ask questions, to
yeah.
hold the conversation, and so on, you know. And if there's a topic where you don't know how to respond to that, then find someone in your network who can explain it, who can help you, and so on. And that's, I think, the big thing that we need to establish in school communities.
I
This,
think the schools definitely should help more in
yes.
terms of we have a lot of my children are 5 and 7, and I've had a lot of messages through last year. Come to a parents' night, bring a book, and you can sit in the hall and you can read it to promote literacy. They have lots of different events on, but they could also hold events where they say, come to a tech evening, where you come with your child and they will help speak to you about different dangers of technology, and it gets all the parents and all the children under one roof, and it helps educate the children. But my school, and I haven't heard of any other schools doing this, where they bring all the parents and the children together, and it's like, come and learn about this, and let's learn about cyberbullying or whatever, and have like a presentation and a discussion and speak to other parents. They have things where it's like bring a teddy bear and a blanket to school for the day, and or an evening or an hour, and you or colour in. And I'm like, these are like massive missed opportunities that school can use.
So interesting that you are mentioning that. So, one of my projects to raise awareness amongst parents is that I'm writing a series of family books now. So half of the book is always a children's story, and the other
Mhm.
half is then some content for the parents explaining what is going on. So the first one was, for example, about using AI for homework and stuff like that. But one of the
Yeah,
books,
I've seen them on LinkedIn.
yes,
Yeah.
and one of the books is actually that I'm writing right now has exactly this plot that you just explained. So there's this fictional school that holds a family tech week, and they receive projects that they have to figure out at home and come up with like a tech family plan or something like that. And then they come on a Friday, on the last day of the week, they come all together, all families and so on, sit in the sports hall, and then they discuss what they have experienced over the week. So it's exactly something like that. We have to bring in events like that. The
Yep.
school of my kids, I held a webinar there for the parents as well, about the impact of AI on parenting and our children. So yeah, we have to, schools have to help build those communities, but it's also very important to understand that this is not the sole responsibility of the schools. So the parents have to take the schools up on those offers. The parents need to show some willingness to take responsibility for the development of digital literacy, because if schools are already doing a lot. I would say a lot of schools have at least the intention of teaching some digital literacy and so on in their with their means, of course. I mean, they have strong budgeting issues. I have a friend, my best friend in Germany, is a teacher, and he told me, Kevin, this is great what you're doing. I love what you're doing, but we don't even have enough money, enough budget to buy new school books. And things like that. I think the intention of the school is there, but if the kids hear about those things at school and then they come home and they have unlimited access to smartphones, tablets, laptops, TV, and so on, and parents just say like, yeah, at school they will learn how to use these things. This doesn't work. This simply doesn't work. So parents need to take responsibility as well. And as I said, I truly believe there is no other way than doing this together.
No, I completely agree. Well, it was great having you. I think we've just ran over by 10 minutes, so that's not too bad. It was wonderful to speak with you, Kevin. Thank you very much for coming on and chatting with us about AI.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.